Did you know that distractions can cost you up to 10 hours a week? 80% of people cannot go a full hour without being distracted. Most people aren't very productive, which is why they waste so much time and they're chasing their tails and running on empty. As soon as you can eliminate the unnecessary distractions that you actually have agency over, then you get to stop wasting your precious time, wasting your precious energy, and stay in that magical flow state for longer. Isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty awesome. Wouldn't it be amazing to get 10 hours of your week back every single week simply by implementing 4 simple tweaks in how you work? By the end of this episode, you are going to learn those exact hacks that you can implement starting today, and you will instantly see more time, more energy, and more efficiency. Let's begin. Welcome to Resonance, the podcast for high performers and entrepreneurs who want to do life, work, and success differently. I am your host, Viktoria Levenberg, and I am obsessed with efficiency, productivity, and planning in a way that harnesses your energy and your natural rhythms while keeping you in alignment and integrity. Because I have figured out that lasting success is not about the hustle. It is about being in resonance. Let's begin. All right. So before I share a little bit more about this really exciting shift you can make to truly boost your productivity, I also want to acknowledge the fact that I am feeling pretty nervous and excited at the moment. And that is because at the time of the airing of this episode, I am T-minus 7 days away from my very first live free webinar. And I'm even like getting butterflies in my stomach as I'm talking about it. Look, at the time of the recording of this episode, we're quite a fair way out. So it's all still very much in the build phase and ideation and creation, which is why I'm not giving too much away about it just yet. But just know that I'm probably feeling pretty vulnerable and excited right now. And it would also be such a privilege and honor to have you be one of the very first ones there. It is completely free. It is going to be amazing. I'm putting like so much heart and soul into it. I'm giving away some of the best content that's generally vaulted for my private paying clients. So you definitely want to be there. There are going to be replays available. And I just wanted to speak to this because this is like a really big milestone for me. It's something very special, very exciting. So I would love to see you there. All the details will be in the show notes below. And for now, let's dive in and get you some of that precious time back, shall we? And look, today's episode has been inspired by a day that I recently had at my corporate day job office, where I was doing some of the things that I'm about to teach you, and it like had people gobsmacked, which was quite interesting to see, and also understandable because, most people aren't very productive, which is why they waste so much time and they're chasing their tails and running on empty. But not if you hang out with me. No, because I'm the efficiency, productivity, and organization queen. So let's begin. Did you know that distractions can cost you up to 10 hours a week? That is nuts. That is a whole quarter if you add it up over time. And we'll drill into and nerd out on the math in just a moment. But speaking of context switching, it is such a waste of your time, energy, and focus if you are constantly getting distracted left, right, and center. And, I would say that today, humankind is more distracted than ever before. And so in today's episode, you will discover those 4 simple tweaks that will unlock more of your time, more of your energy, and productivity while getting more done easily and effectively. Isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty awesome. That is how I work and operate. I'll give you some real life examples throughout the episodes, and hopefully you'll be able to play with this over the next week as well, and let me know how it goes for you. So let's dive into the nitty gritty. I promised you we would nerd out on the math. Let me nerd out on the math because I love it. Okay, so I've done a bit of research and found some scary things. And those scary things are that 80% of people cannot go a full hour without being distracted. I'm pretty sure that percentage is even lower at this point, to be honest, because ever since the age of AI and the age of TikTok and the age of, like 3-second reels. I joke that it's like people have the attention span of a goldfish right now and the memory of an ant, or maybe the other way around. I don't know, but it's really scary. And, even just, I think on your phone, you can see how many times you pick up your phone during the hour. Like it's a tick. It's almost like this reflex that we've developed. And so on average, people waste 10 hours a week for distractions. It could be all kinds of different distractions, like getting shoulder tapped in the office, emails, social media, messages, getting sidetracked and trying to multitask. It kind of accumulates and it's this overarching theme of distractions. And as you add that up over 52 weeks, those 10 hours a week are 65 days. What even? Do you realize that is pretty much 13 weeks of your year, which is a quarter of your year, that you waste to distractions? It blows my mind, because imagine what you could do with your life if you had an extra quarter of free time. Maybe you would finally take up that new hobby that you've been wanting to start, or just chill out and do nothing and lounge on the couch and read a book, or maybe spend some more quality time with your family and your kids who are just growing up too quickly. It's a whole quarter. That is 25% of your year. That is massive, massive numbers we're talking here. And before I dive into the specifics, I just thought that it was really important to give you some definitions, specifically around what I mean when I say context switching. So context switching is this really scary phenomenon, which is effectively the loss of time, energy, and focus every time that you switch tasks. And studies have shown that context switching costs you between 10 to 20% of your productivity every time you switch tasks. And imagine, again, if 80% of people can't stay focused for an hour, accumulate that throughout the workday, no wonder people's productivity is just plummeting and skyrocketing. And it's really sad, actually. There's this big meeting that I attend that starts at 2 p.m. And you can just see everyone's lost it. And that is, sort of basically context switching or the cost of context switching in action. You can just see there's 0 brain cells left at that point, which is really, really sad. And to add on top of that, it takes about 23 minutes on average for you to regain the flow state momentum that you had when you get interrupted. So if most of us get interrupted at least once an hour, and it takes us 23 minutes to regain that momentum, and so then we're only left with not even a half hour basically until the next interruption, and the productivity percentage decreases, right? Can you just see how it's just this downward spiral of misery? Again, maths wasn't my strong suit in high school, but I know that there is some kind of negative log function going on there. SOHCAHTOA. I don't know. Okay, let's not talk math. I've got so many memories of my big TI 84 plus math calculator right now. I don't know how I passed that course, but clearly SOHCAHTOA left its mark. So anyway, that's even got nothing to do with log functions, but cool. Let's get back. See, I just demonstrated context switching in real time for you. That is basically what happens. So, okay, we've defined context switching, and now let's just briefly define flow state. I love flow state. Flow state is this state that you are in where it's almost this, so you actually are in a different brainwave state as well when you're in flow state, and it is just this kind of effortless productivity momentum where you're super creative and you're super efficient and you're super productive and you're just in the zone, and you're in the zone and you're creating and the inspiration's flowing. That's literally what flow state means, right? And I'm sure you can think of a time where you were deeply focused on a task and just harnessing that flow state. And it felt like I had this just a few weeks ago when I was writing some promotional emails for a launch, and I wrote 11 emails in a few hours, as it normally takes me an hour to write an email. And like that was flow state in action right there. It's just like time and space collapse and anything is possible. So flow state is amazing. And the antidote to flow state is context switching. So you can see we've got a little bit of polarity here. So I'm going to show you now some really small shifts that you can make in your day-to-day work, life, and business that are going to lead to exponential, positively, logarithmically, exponential big shifts in your results. Because as soon as you can eliminate the unnecessary distractions that you actually have agency over, then you get to stop wasting your precious time, wasting your precious energy, and stay in that magical flow state for longer. So let's dive into the nitty gritty. Tip number 1. Turn off your pop-up notifications on your work computer. And I'm talking all the apps. So if you use like a team communications app, whether it's like, I don't know, do people use MSN these days? Teams, Slack, whatever, Google Chat, just turn off the notifications, turn off the pop-ups. And the same thing for email. Email's even more important because literally, especially if you work in a, role that receives a lot of emails, that thing's going to be going off nonstop. And not only is that impacting your context switching likelihoods, it is also actually dysregulating for your nervous system because like every single time that ping fires, it shoots a little alert to your nervous system. People be like, I got to react. I've got to respond. New email. Yeah. So turn all of that off. Like literally on my work computer, the only notification that I still have on is for calendar reminders. That's it. Everything else is like, got rid of that a long time ago. Turn off the sound, turn off the pop-ups. No need for any of that. And the thing is like, let's be real. Most of us aren't saving lives for a living, right? So the things that you're receiving are unlikely to be critically urgent. And you can set some really great boundaries. Like if you do work in a role where sometimes things are urgent, like to ask someone to call you or to text you or whatever it is. So, I used to be the type of person who would respond to the email before you even hit send, I was like so onto it. And then I realized that like that was just such a waste of my time and I was basically in my inbox all day. And now that I've turned all these notifications off, like I get to it when I get to it. So say if I have like a bit of chunk of time that's like dead space, that like 7 minutes in between meetings where it's like, well, I ain't going to get into flow state. So what else am I going to do? Great time to clear your inbox. Or at the end of the day where like most of your brain cells are already gone. And let's be honest, most of your emails don't require you to be at your peak mental clarity. So that is number 1 is turn off pop-up notifications from your work computer apps. Honestly worked so well for me and I live and swear by it. And there are people in my life who literally even have phone notifications when they receive emails and they receive like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of emails every day and their phone's just going off all day. It's very, very dysregulating. Okay. Number 2, speaking of phones. Put your phone on do not disturb anytime you're about to enter a dedicated focus block. So if you didn't know, your phone, I'm an iPhone user myself, but if you're an Android, I'm sure they have the same setting. There is like a specific button you can press. It is super easy to access from your home screen and just go boop, do not disturb. And it just silences all of your notifications. And a feature that Apple has on their iPhones is you can even set up different settings. So you can have like a sleep setting or a work setting or a personal setting. So if you're like the type of person who has a tendency to check work things after work hours, and that's a habit you want to break, you could set up your personal focus setting to make sure that all your work stuff is muted, after work. And vice versa. Let's say if you're the type of person who really gets distracted by social media pings and you want to stay super focused during your work hours, you can set a work setting that meets those things. So it's like the notifications are still there and there's a way to get to them. And when you turn off the setting, you see everything, but you're not constantly overstimulated with all that influx of information, right? So that's like super effective. I use it all the time. I literally was using it this morning as I was preparing some of the content to share with you today and writing my notes. Like I noticed that I was getting little notifications here and there, and it's just, again, it was really distracting. Boom, off. Flow state entered. It was fantastic. Because, unless kept in check, our cheeky mind will use any sneaky little excuse to get us out of being super productive. Cheeky mind. And the other kind of little sub hack on the phone piece is if you really struggle with this, some of the people I have spoken to, they found it quite effective to just move their phone to another room as well. So it's out of sight, out of mind. And that seems to work for them quite well as well. So that is number 2. Put your phone on do not disturb, or just move it to a different room. Number 3, close any irrelevant tabs or apps that are not directly related to what you're working on, especially emails, especially social media, or any like sports Netflix situations. Now, again, these things are such a time, focus, and energy drain. And if you're the type of person that like leaves all your tabs open and has a million different files open and just closes their laptops and thinks that tomorrow's a new day and you'll get to it tomorrow, like we've got a lot to talk about. And if so, you're probably the perfect fit for Efficiency Made Easy. But you don't want to have all this noise. Again, it is all noise. And if you understand, like if we take a step back and just look at it from a neuroscience perspective, like our brain is constantly switched on. And all this information, like it is constantly trying to filter and prioritize the information that is sitting in front of you. And so even if you're like just looking at one screen, but at the top of that screen, you've got all these 20 million different tabs that are completely unrelated to one another, your brain will go like, oh, and I need to remember this and blah, blah, blah. And again, it's wasting your energy. And I will also add a little sneaky caveat to this, which is the way we do anything is how we do everything. So if you've got 1,020,000, I don't know, that's not a number, but you get it, different tabs open in your computer, chances are that's also happening in your brain. Chances are you need a system to capture all your ideas and tasks and plan your time, energy effectively. So anyways, I can help with that. But for now, just remember, close any irrelevant tabs or apps that aren't directly related to what you're working on. Okay. And last, but definitely not least, number 4, and this works a charm, but it might, for my people pleasers who have a hard time with setting boundaries, be a little bit challenging at first, but honestly works a charm. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. Okay, it is. Are you ready? Buckle up, buttercup. Yep, you guessed it. Politely asking anyone in your immediate vicinity, whether it's at work, colleagues, or family members, to not disturb you during your dedicated focus block. So, oh my goodness, this is such a big one because human beings, honestly, it shocks me. And like, this is why, again, for my productivity archetype and how I work best, that is why I'm at my best when I'm at home, because I don't have to deal with rude people who interrupt you no matter what you try to do. It is really such a strange phenomenon how we think that our needs are more important than someone else's. But anyways, let's not see context switching right there. Could have gone down that side tangent avenue, but we're going to bring it back into our flow state. So what I mean by that is if you're at work, you can like ask people to not disturb you. You can put headphones in visibly. You can put a do not disturb setting on your like little team channel situation. You could even put a sign on your desk or like on the back of the chair. I've seen a few memes about that, which, hey, very relevant. And also, like, if someone comes up to you and interrupts you and it is genuinely not a good time to be interrupting you, you get to say, can you come back to me later? Like, you don't have to answer right away, especially if it's going to be like a longer conversation. So anytime I'm at the office and I'm in a hyper-focused state, I'm in a flow state, and someone comes up and tries to interrupt me, I will kind of gauge. I was like, is this a quick, like, less than 30 seconds question answer situation, or are you about to suck 15 minutes of my day? Because that 15 minutes, remember context switching, add the 23, all of a sudden expands to 45 minutes of productivity I'm about to lose. And I would rather not waste that time on your non-urgent, but seemingly more important question. So as you can see, I'm getting quite passionate about this because I used to be in a role that, oh God, it had so much context switching involved. Like people were just tapping my shoulder every freaking moment of every single day. And then no wonder I was the last one in the office because I was just a little, in German, there's this word for it that's like Waschlappen. It's like a little, basically just, people pleasing everyone. My Germans will be like, whoa, that's much more than that. But anyways, this is not a German podcast. So I've got a really interesting example that's actually quite recent. And that is, look, my ultimate strategy is if you work in an office with other people around you, then just make it really visible, like put headphones in, move to a different room, work from home, do what you need to. But even if someone is really persistent, let's say you've got a really chatty coworker nearby, you get to set those boundaries. So like, again, I've got a great example in my recent life where someone was feeling chatty and they had the time and I didn't, because I am very efficient and effective in the way I use my time. And so I literally addressed that as it is. I said, I understand you are currently bored. However, I'm really focused. So I'm choosing not to engage in this conversation. And like, if they think that that means you're full of it and you're mean, sure. But like, do you really then want to stay at the office for another hour just because someone was bored and wanted your attention and entertainment? That's a choice you get to make. I would rather set that boundary. So that is, I'm going to kind of leave it at that because I know that's probably ruffling some feathers already. But number 4, politely ask anyone in your vicinity, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, to not disturb you during your focus block. Like that is also a conversation I had to have with my partner. And he knows that really well as well. And it's really cute. He'll like sheepishly gaze through the corner of my door and be like, is she good? And he'll know when he's good to come in and when I'll be like, not right now. It's really sweet. But that also took some conditioning and boundaries. So you get to set those for yourself because your time and energy are precious, and don't let everyone walk all over you. That's a recipe for feeling really drained and wasting your time, which is the opposite of what we're here to do. So if you right now are thinking, okay, well, look, Vic, thanks for that, but what if someone really needs me? Like, what if they have a really urgent question? And I get it, especially my people pleasers are probably like, how can I tell someone not to talk to me? Maybe they'll think I'm mean. Look, I've been implementing this for over 5 years now, and in my experience, unless there are blood and bones, nothing's actually that urgent. Like, for example, literally in this last week, I had some pings. And again, my pop-up notifications actually for pings are on, but the sound is off, which is what I found more dysregulating. And I just choose to, I'm not ignoring them. I'm just choosing to act on them later. But I guess you could label it as I chose to ignore them because I could see it's not urgent. And it was really funny to see because like at the end of the day, I was still in my focus block, getting things done. And the person that pinged me, which means like, sent me a little chat, said, oh, by the way, ignore that message I sent you. It's all resolved. I was like, yeah, that normally tends to happen. Again, because humans, we're just so funny. We're like, problem, need solution immediately. And then we'll just like fire things off without thinking about it or trying to solve it on our own first, when then like 5 minutes of conscious thought and it's done. And that's exactly what happened. Or if it's really urgent, again, like if you've got some key stakeholders in your life who need to get a hold of you no matter what, then have some predetermined boundaries with them. Like if something's really urgent, say this or do this. And if you live in if you work in a place where people have the tendency to shoulder tap you, again, my little vetting criteria of like, how quick or short as this is super effective. And if it actually genuinely is urgent, then, just make it quick and deal with the fact that you just lost 20% of your productivity, which is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this and really, really want to bring this work to a larger scale over time as well. Because I think that if we all get to work effectively and smarter and operate at our peak without sacrificing our well-being and without wasting our time, then we'll all be better off for it. And it does start at the top. However, in the meantime, we also get to influence our sphere and locus of control, which is that you yourself proactively have agency over. So that's what we're focusing on here. So, hey, with that in mind, just remember your emails are not DMs. And nowhere in your contract or your KPIs are you measured on your response time, unless maybe you're like a customer support rep or something. So just know that it's okay to take your time. It is okay to proactively structure your own day. You get to set those specific dedicated focus time blocks depending on what works best for you. Again, all things that we dive into in Efficiency Made Easy. And remember this capital T truth, that your energy and your time are your most valuable, most precious assets. And if you don't put the necessary structures, systems, and boundaries in place to protect these assets, then you're basically handing them away for free like Pokemon cards until all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like 7 p.m. and you're still at the office without having gotten to any of your real actual work that you needed to do because you were too busy meeting everyone else's needs but your own. So again, I'm speaking from experience here. If you have any questions whatsoever, you want to chat through any of this, of course, feel free to DM me on Instagram. But there you have it. These are the 4 simple tweaks that will instantly give you 10 hours of your life back so that you can enjoy time outside of work. You can play with your kids. You can explore a new hobby. You can just chill out and rest and do nothing rather than waste it and let it go away to distractions or pleasing people that can meet their own needs. So have a go. Give this a try. Be coachable. Let me know how it works. And this is, again, just scratching the surface of the elite level systems that we are unpacking in Efficiency Made Easy. But before you even decide whether or not that is the right place for you, I highly, highly recommend that you join my free webinar that I am about to run in 7 days from today. I'm so excited. It is completely free. It is going to be like the creme de la creme. I am so, so humbled that I have the privilege of bringing this to the world. You'll hear a little bit more about it in just a moment. And until next time, have a beautiful week. I hope to see you at the webinar. Bye for now. If you're a high performer or entrepreneur who's got big dreams and you've developed strategies to get you closer to those dreams, but you feel like there are also parts of you self-sabotaging your success, I built something just for you. It is my signature Achievement Archetypes quiz that is absolutely free, takes less than 2 minutes, and it will give you instant feedback as to where your Achilles heel is. That is your natural self-sabotaging behavior when it comes to productivity, planning, efficiency, and organization. And it gives you your next right step and the solution you didn't know you needed. You'll find the link in the show notes just below. Make sure you find your achievement archetype and let me know what it is. As a fellow achiever, I will be the first to put my hand up that I have now mastered my Achilles heel, and I can't wait for you to do the same. The views and opinions expressed by guests on Resonance are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of me, Viktoria Levenberg, Live in Health, or anyone working within the Live in Health brand. This space welcomes a diversity of ideas, experiences, and stories, and part of Resonance is learning to take what aligns and gently leaving the rest. Also, while I am a national board certified health and wellness coach and deeply passionate about well-being, this podcast is intended for educational and inspirational purposes only. Resonance does not substitute personalized medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. Always seek guidance from qualified professionals for any physical, emotional, or mental health concerns.